Welcome to Quadcast, the only four-wheeled off-road podcast rated 100% cage-free by off-road enthusiasts worldwide, or at least me and Jeff. Jeff, how are you?
Good. Hey, we got a good show going on today. A lot of new machines to talk about, upcoming machines that we've been hearing about, returning machines, products, pretty good packed show. We got a great special guest today that we will get to soon enough. Also, this show is brought to you by ATVTires.com. They are a Midwest family-owned company that specializes in tires for ATVs and side-by-sides, all kinds of tires. Joe, you've been to the site. What do you like about it?
They have a tire for just about everything. Whether you're a sport quad guy, a 4x4 ATV guy, side-by-side guy, even if you've got an old vintage machine, chances are they've got a tire that'll kind of fill out your old vintage dream build. I was on there looking at 4x4 tires the other day with this 700 shootout we're doing and looking at some of the 4x4 racing we're going to talk about in the show. And, at the high end, I looked for our, favorite high-end tire, the ITP Terracross. They've got it, competitive price. It's there if you need a premium 4x4 tire with a great ride, works good in all conditions. And then for somebody with it's a little bit more budget focused, they're also stocking the GBC Dirt Devils that we had experience with at the Ironman GNCC at the end of the 25 season on those factory Yamaha B&R Motorsports builds that we raced.
Yeah.
So that was a 25-8-12. Great cross-country tire choice if you're going to run a smaller displacement machine and you need a light, efficient tire that gets good grip. Those worked really well. I think you and Evan both thought.
Yeah, absolutely. So, they have all of the top name brands for sport quad racers and trail riders, duners, whatever. But a lot of it, they got the ITPs, they got AMS. I was out at the Works Race Racing last weekend, the first round of the Works GNCC series as now an AMA regional series. And the big talk was about the Keen to Havoc tires. These tires are fantastic, man. They got some very soft knobs to them. Extreme hookup, great in soft and hard conditions. They have them at atvtires.com along with all those other brands that I just mentioned. You can look at them all in one place and make your decision from there. Great descriptions, pricing. Check them out. That is at atvtires.com. So,
and we got a promo code, right?
We do. Yeah. How could I forget that? If you go to their website and you buy from them, enter the code QUADCAST, but make sure you include the hyphen between quad and cast, and you will get a 5% discount on your order at checkout. Again, atvtires.com.
Right. And check out their website. Even if you're not in the market for tires today, you might find your next purchase. And it's pretty interesting they have such a big selection if you just want to see everything that's out there in one place. So anyway, should we dig a little bit into what's coming up in the show?
Yeah. Well, I already explained some of that, but do you want to go a little further or do we just dive right in?
Let's just dive right in. There's a lot to get to.
Let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Wide Open Wire. Here's the ATV news that should be important to you for January and February of 2026. Jeff, let's go.
Hey, let's start off with Honda. You and I both were a little frightened that the TRX90 was not coming back this year. Of course, they always, sometimes, I think they did it last year too, they don't even announce it until like early into January, February of that model year. But the TRX90 is back. It is unchanged for 2026, but looking great with a price tag of $3,549 plus, the destination fees and all that other garbage. Not seeing it later in the year. I mean, every year it seems like we play this game where we're just worried it's not coming back. I've seen some stuff on the patent site from Honda that there is possibly a youth model electric machine coming, and great. I'm not against that, but did not want to see it replacing this machine. It's a favorite little pit machine for adults, and a great starter for youth for sure.
It's quickly becoming one of the most popular race ATVs for adults. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that with our guest later, Nick Gennusa.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about the Turkey Derby or whatever that he does.
Yeah.
Get out there for that. We should do a live show from that.
So we had something to do with this. The updated KO Storm 300 prototype was featured at the AIM Expo. They did a number of things to that. I think we talked about it in a previous episode, they widened out the rear axle, relocated the reservoir for the coolant. They took the grab handles off the rear fenders because we don't ride double in the U.S. And they put it would be good for Supermans. And they put a wider cross-country style bumper on it. So they made, and a longer shifter for different size boots.
A spare shifter so you can swap. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people don't do that, but I think they know that's kind of a transitionary bike. It might appeal to smaller and a little larger riders physically. So that is in the country. And I know that you and I have already reached out for test units, and they're like, not yet, guys, because we've sold every one we've brought into the country so far. So Honda keeps saying there's no demand for a sport quad, but KO just sold everyone they brought in the country on their first run.
Hey, I just thought of something. I came up with a chart last night that actually compares it to the old Honda 300EX. You want me to go over some of these specs just to show how it compares?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah. That's cool. Let's do it.
The old 300EX displacement was 282cc. The KO Storm 300 is 292.4cc. Not a huge change there. Of course, the 300EX was a air-cooled single overhead cam, 4-stroke. The KO is a liquid-cooled dual overhead cam 4-valve 4-stroke. 300EX had carburetor. The KO Storm is EFI. Both of these machines have manual 5-speed transmissions with reverse and real clutch. That seems something that a lot of people are asking. They think somewhere they got the idea that the KO Storm has a manual clutch. It does not. I rode it out at Glen Helen, did a couple of laps on a works course, which mixed motocross with trail GP style stuff. And there's plenty of travel. Great. I was able to jump it. It landed, didn't bottom out. I'm happy with it. So we expect that the travel numbers are probably a little more. Plus, it comes with shocks that are, compression, adjustable, rebound, and I think it had threaded preload on the shocks. It's got preload adjustable shocks on it anyway. They are real. They work.
And you thought they worked well, and that's what's really exciting, because a lot of these shocks we see coming out of China, it's like within 5 feet of riding it, you're like, yep, it's Chinese shocks, but
no,
so
these sound decent.
It sounds good. Is there more in this breakdown?
Dual hydraulic disc up front, single rear disc. The Honda 300EX, I didn't even realize it had 22-inch tires front and rear stock. Does that sound right?
It did, but they were a little bit more of a rounded profile tire. They weren't a square profile like the tires that come on the KO 300, which is a more cross-country competition
It's a work
tire.
setup, really, yeah. 21-inch front and 20-inch rear. That's typically what most racers run at works.
Yeah, same here for cross-country, right out of the box.
Yep. 10-inch wheel up front, 9-inch wheel in the rear, yeah. Length, width, height. The Honda was 67.7 inches. Width was 43.5. Height, 42.7. Now, the KO is 65.4, but the width is a big number, and they've adjusted that rear axle to come close to the front. 48 inches wide, which is pretty impressive for this class. That's near, you're getting, I think, what is a YFZ450R is 49 something, I think, stock.
48.5 is what they were telling us back when they first brought it out. I don't know if they've changed that number.
Yeah, very close to that. And then the height is 42.62, which is, it's the same as the TRX300EX. So, yeah, it sits low. I rode it. It wasn't that tippy, and I even rode it with the shorter rear axle. So it should be much more planted and stable with this wider rear axle it's getting. It's shorter wheelbase, though, 45.3. The KO Storm is 44.9. All I can say on that is when I tested it, it turns great. You can throw it around really easy. It's a little more compact.
The KO 300, although I think you're going to see some people over 16 who are interested in it. I'm way over 16, and I'd love to have one to play with. Definitely we'll have one to check out and maybe keep it around if we like it enough. It's exciting, but I think the average person who's going to ride that is exactly what that class was about. Like, you're not ready for a YFZ450R or Raptor 700 yet. There's been nothing in that entry-level space other than the Honda TRX250X, which is shaft drive and a pushrod 2-valve engine. It's not on the level of this bike on paper for sure. I'm sure a shootout will happen at some point. But anyway, they're here. They're sold out. So
Hey,
if you don't
let me
have
finish
one,
up.
oh,
Let me
there's
finish
more.
up real quick because
Yeah,
we got some important specs coming. So, but this will just take a second. Fuel capacity 2.2 gallons, 1.45 on the Keo Storm. But remember, it is EFI. It should be a little more efficient with fuel. Dry weight. The 300EX was 377 pounds, and that might have changed when they updated the plastic on it there in the final years. I can't remember, but that was the only major change. The KO Storm is actually a little less than that, 374.8 pounds dry. So pretty evenly matched there. Horsepower, and we took these ratings off of the CARB, California Air Resources Board. Boo. Their site, but just to be consistent, yeah, go away. The Honda TRX90EX, according to them and the certification from CARB, is 22.1 horsepower at the crank. KO Storm, 25.5 horsepower at the crank. And that's all I got on that. If you want to get technical, I think it was 25.478 horsepower for the KO. We wrote it down as 25.5 just to make it look like a neat little spec sheet. So there you go.
A couple more horsepower, a little bit lighter, and of course, what matters as much as horsepower, really more is how does it build RPMs. That Honda was a heavier engine. We know this is a more modern engine. Looks very similar to what's in the KLX 300. So if it runs like that, it should build RPMs faster than the old Honda. We'll see how it pans out. If you don't have one on reserve with a dealer, you're probably going to be waiting for batch 2, or I would find out who your local KO dealer is and ask them if they have reserved some units and can you put a deposit on one. They are $4,599 plus the BS destination fees, which I would always fight to
what
not
does
pay.
BS stand for?
Yeah. Anyway,
moving on.
moving on. So next, last year, Kawasaki dropped a new 450 4x4, the Brute Force 450. I think we were both excited to see that come to market. Mid-size, more compact 4x4s are nice for getting on and off. Older people, wives, smaller people, you name it. And there's just something to be said for an ATV that you feel like you have control over. So, they brought out the Brute Force 450. We mostly loved it.
Yeah. But there was one glaring thing that we did not like that was huge.
Yeah, it steered very heavy. And for me, at least, I would say that I pretty much, unless it was very muddy or snowy, I didn't want to use diff lock because if it went into where I was going to get high traction, the thing wanted to fight too much. It just discouraged me using differential lock, especially on like slippery creek banks where you're playing in hard packed, even though there's not much traction. So,
yeah. Well, I'll just add to that. Even without diff lock engaged, it is very stiff, wants to go straight. And whether I was out on the trail, whether I was on soft pack, whether on hard pack, or even just dragging my horse arena, I mean, I'm doing an oval. It's you have to muscle the bars quite a bit to get it to turn. And there's also I got a lot of feedback out on the trail too from the bars because of that.
Yeah, and that really hurts a machine that is obviously going to appeal to smaller riders. That aren't necessarily don't have the strength of a 6 foot tall grown man. Why
it's great everywhere else.
And it is. The motor's good. The suspension's good. Even without sway bars, they've got the shocks to where there's a little roll, but it's nice and stable. I would have liked to see some geometry changes. I think you would have too. I didn't see anything mentioned in the 2026 information on it, but they have added an EPS model to the lineup. So you can get the non-power steering equipped version 2, or you can get one now with power steering. Again, I think geometry changes should have happened to lighten up the steering across the board and then add EPS to it. But I'd have to say, if I were looking at this unit, Jeff, I don't think I could look past the EPS model, and I haven't tested it yet.
No, I would definitely, if you're going to get a Brute Force 450, get the EPS model for sure. And I'll wait to reserve judgment until I get a chance to ride that EPS model. I hope it's everything that we hope it, we expect out of a good steering machine, because that will elevate that machine, I think, to the top of the, fairly close to the top of that class.
Agreed.
But
yes,
the price, the price to get EPS.
Yeah. So real quick, besides adding the EPS, they also got to mention that they did flatten out the racks a little bit. They were tilted forward, both front and rear, and they still are, but they cut that in about half. They reduced the angle forward by, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was a roughly half. And so to help your load from sliding forward, I guess under braking, make it more stable. The price, $7,999, which is $300 more than the Kodiak 450 EPS, which
also has a diff lock.
Has a diff lock, which the Kawasaki has, which we like it for, but it also has cast aluminum wheels. So
the Yamaha does. Yep.
Yes, it does. The Kawai's got steelies, but I think it's still worth taking a look at. Definitely. We're looking forward to riding it. It could be a great machine. But it's got some fierce competition.
Yeah, it does. And you can also upgrade on that Yamaha Kodiak to the XTR edition, which also includes a winch for $81.99. So that's only $200 more to get the extra winch and that XTR trim.
Yeah, you're not. I don't think you can buy a winch even at Harbor Freight for $200, can you?
No. No, I don't think so.
So
not one that would work anyway, like you'd want it to.
So but either way, I think Kawasaki was quick to react and add power steering to that unit. That was a smart thing to do, and love that segment. Love those compact 4x4s, and looking forward to getting our hands on that in a couple months. Also, we'll be getting our hands on the Brute Force 300, which Kawasaki did a restyle on. So
that's exciting.
Next, Denago. We've both reviewed the little Daytona 250.
We did.
We did.
And, for a starter machine with an incredible price point at I think it was $24.99. It's in that $2,500 range. It's great machine to start on. It's very affordable for most people.
And I rode it pretty hard for a couple days to go out and film it. Got rained out about halfway through test day 1, took it out again. And not a bad little unit. I liked it better on smoother trails. The rougher the trails got, the more I wanted to ride it on smoother trails. But, for the price, you can't beat it. They have parts in the country. What else are you going to buy new that you're going to be able to get parts for $2,500? That it wasn't like some of the stuff I've seen out of China where it's like, this is an unsafe product. Like, I didn't feel unsafe riding it. I didn't feel like it was going to fall apart. I thought it was put together pretty well.
Yeah.
We had a number of suggestions for this machine, and they didn't just go after one or two things. They're going after a whole bunch of stuff. They're looking to widen the machine, recalibrate the suspension, the airbox, accessing the filter was a little complicated, so they're looking to update that. They're considering a standard bolt pattern for the wheels, because the bolt pattern that comes on it makes sourcing any kind of aftermarket wheel difficult. And frankly, the stock wheels that came on it look kind of like what I'd expect to see on a Raptor 660 that belonged to some guy in a trailer park a little bit. Didn't love those wheels.
They're a heavier aluminum wheel. I'd like to see a spun aluminum wheel. And 100%. The lug pattern is too small. You can't buy an aftermarket wheel to fit it, because if you take a Honda wheel, it'll go right over the hub, the center hole. I recommended that they upgrade those hubs so you can actually use either a Yamaha or a Honda bolt pattern, and then you have all kinds of upgrade choices at that point.
100%. And I think they may switch to a different wheel from the factory. Something a little lighter, a little more plain. I know that outside of not just my personal opinion, just people that would see the bike, typically they'd have some good things to say. The first negative thing, they'd be like, those wheels. So, but Denaga's looking to make a bunch of changes to make this bike better. And,
Did we mention the tire choice that they put on? Because they've already shown us a picture of one with, I think it was ITP.
Yeah, they have ITP whole shots on it. Now, whether or not they're going to go with that brand and model of tire, it remains to be seen. But I think they were doing some experimenting with that as how would this bike perform with a more traditional sport ATV tire? And you really can't pick a better choice to start playing around with than like a classic ITP whole shot. It's a classic sport quad tire. So, whether that's what it ends up with or something similar to it, I think it'll be a good step forward for that machine. And wow, if they get all these changes, I look forward to round 2 with that little 250. I think it'll be a considerably better bike, and I have a feeling they'll do well at keeping the price in check. So next, we've been talking a lot about people coming back into the sport ATV segment. Honda's a name that's probably thrown around more than any that people would like to see come back.
Yeah, good luck with that.
When you talk to them, they sound not at all interested in coming back. But then what's surprising is it sounds like Stark, the electric company, and this is going to piss off a lot of people that just don't want electric, but I just want a new sport quad, and I want to be able to ride it anywhere I can. So I'll have an electric quad sitting next to my gas quad happily. And it sounds like Stark, who's been doing a lot of development with Walsh Race Craft, they've said themselves that they're looking at that ATV market.
They are. Yeah, I expect to hear more about that in the coming years for sure. And we are going to be talking a little bit with Nick Gennusa, our special guest, about how that machine handles. But first, Stark has said that. And again, I think you nailed it. You said you have it parked right next to your gas quad. We realize this is not for everybody. It's not going to replace gas machines, but for some people it works. Motocrossers, they got a big motor coming on the enduro side that is going to last, go a full 2 hours at least. That's great for works racers. It'll work for GNCC racers, and they say the charging time on that is 15 minutes. Their exact wording was in the time that it takes you to drink a cup of coffee. You can get a full charge.
So why it might not ever replace your gas quad, it might replace your gas quad.
I'm not selling my 250R, but or my YFZ, but
I'm not selling my Raptor or my 250R. So
yeah, the performance is what it's all about, and it's incredible. The torque that machine makes and how responsive it is. You can't get that with a gas engine, and again, we'll be talking to Nick Gennusa a little bit more about that. He has spent a lot of time on that Walsh Stark machine, the hybrid.
And speaking of torque, some new updates to Yamaha's Sport 4x4 patents that you guys reported on very, very recently in the past week.
Yeah, we've had 4 updates or so on this. And this particular one, though, was very exciting. Just recently in the month of January, they came out with a new patent update that suggests to us, and first off, I should say that we've seen a lot of things coming across paths. There may be more than one machine here, but this particular one looks like it is a direct competitor to the Polaris Scrambler S. And I say that because it claims the rear suspension travel to be 15 inches, 12 inches up front. That's actually an inch more travel in the rear than the Scrambler S advertises. So it's got to be well over 50 inches wide. This is definitely, this particular machine anyway is definitely a West Coast machine. Spent some time on the Scrambler S in the dunes not too long ago. And I had never been out to Glamis on a Sport 4x4 before. And I was incredibly impressed. Yeah, it's a near 1,000-pound machine, but man, it just goes through those side-by-side ruts like butter. while all the 450s and the TRX250R guys that were around me were just getting knocked all over the place in those ruts. So the whole time I was riding that, I was just thinking, man, I hope this Yamaha is a real deal, because I don't know that I would trade my YFZ450R in on one, but I definitely want to get one. Maybe even run the 4x4 class and works on it. Great stuff. So,
well, yeah,
exciting.
and the Scrambler S is 900 pounds, and the Renegade is in that upper sevens, close to 8, I think, for the Renegade 1000. So what?
Yeah.
Whether it turns out to be a desert wide machine or something more conventional for GNCC,
maybe both.
Or maybe both. I figure whatever the Can-Am or the Polaris weight is, take 100 pounds plus off for the Yamaha. They just look at their other 4x4s. They tend to be quite a bit lighter.
Yeah, and we've been talking to Yamaha a little bit about those, and I swear they're kind of throwing hints at us that this may be happening soon. I'm speculating here. I don't want to get everybody excited, but I'm excited. So I hope it does happen. I think they would do really well with this, and I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. By the way, we do have that is up on dirtwheelsmag.com. You can go read that new update, see the patent drawings on that. And we also put together an AI image based on the newest drawings, which include fenders. It's pretty much a complete machine minus tires. In those drawings, we had AI create a rendering of what it might look like, and I really like what I saw. And that article with that rendering blew the top off of the Dirt Wheels website. I think it's the biggest performing article I've seen.
Yes, and perhaps the most and perhaps one of the most controversial.
Yeah, more coming out on that in Rev Limiter.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
We'll save it for that. You guys definitely want to tune into the end of the show. It's going to get interesting. But all
yeah,
fun.
So let's talk racing a little bit, since we're talking about Yamaha's new Sport 4x4, and it's going to be a long, grueling GNCC schedule this year. It looks like it's going to start February 14th in South Carolina. Is that an earlier start than usual? That seems early.
Did they have one more round than they did last year in this series? I don't know. I'll have to go back and look, but if you've ever raced GNCC, and I've only done it once, every round is long and grueling. These guys are some of the best riders in the world, especially those XC1 pros and the XC2 Pro-Am guys.
Oh yeah, you have to respect those athletes. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But there's some new stuff going on this year. We have some new youth and sport 4x4 classes. Now, I don't know if they added more youth classes, but I think the rules were changed. I didn't review the rules, I admit it. So you're catching us with our pants down, maybe just a smidge on this. But they have changed the rules in some of the youth classes, allowing 13 and up to race sleeved down 450s, sleeved down to 400 cc's.
Yeah, I can't remember. It is some of the older age youth classes, but yeah, it's under 16. I can't remember if it's 13 or 14. But yeah, you can run a 450 with a sleeved down cylinder. I think it was great. Greg's ATV and Cycle that I saw already has these sleeves in stock for the YFZ450R and the TRX 450R.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get a kit from B&R Motorsports as well.
I like it because they can build up the suspension. They get very comfortable and at home on that machine. In that class, once they, can race in the 16 and up classes, they're just yanking that sleeve, redo your motor, but you're already on a machine that you are comfortable with and can continue to grow with. So.
Yeah, I don't know that necessarily saying sleeve it down. I don't see why sleeving down was such a thing, because if you go buy a new stock YFZ450R and you just reflash the ECU, but you're running a stock pipe and an airbox lid, you're not going to make that much horsepower. You're not going to go that fast. Same if you said, okay, your kid's got to race a TRX 450R with, an internally stock engine and you've got to run a pipe and an airbox lid. You can rejet it, but you have to keep it corked up. You're going to make a lot less horsepower and spend a lot less money for your teenager to run that class than you are to take any one of these 450s, sleeve it down to reduce horsepower, and then you turn around and you put a piston and a cam and a pipe and an intake and da 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 da. So, I don't really see the big upside in reducing the displacement, but I think they could have restricted it the other way and made it more affordable and still let the kids get on 450s sooner and have access to parts. But, we're splitting hairs. I think it's good for the sport.
I've seen responses on Dirt Wheels from parents that like it, and others are just don't know yet. So we're not parents, so let them figure it out.
Right. I think overall it'll be good for the sport. And hey, if we've also got the KO 300. Maybe some kids will end up racing that, especially the younger ones.
Yeah. Got some bad news about GNCC recently.
Oh, what's that?
Walker Fowler is already out. This was going to be his retirement farewell season. It sounded like he had announced that just a few weeks ago. And we just found out recently, actually today, the day that we're recording this podcast, that he broke his back again, which he did, a couple of years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago. He did it again, and he says he's going to be out for the first 4 or 5 rounds. Best of luck, prayers and love going out to you, Walker. You're one of the best of all time, and we're going to miss you in those first rounds. Get well soon.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, just please heal up all the way. Before you come back. Don't want to mess with the spine.
Yeah.
So Yamaha, with the new classes for GNCC and the Sport 4x4 class that I mentioned.
4x4, yep.
Winning nothing but W's. We've got the new Sport 4x4 class, which is not the old lights class for all you angry guys who used to race the lights class and didn't like it. Might want to call me. Don't call me. But there is a new Sport 4x4 class. It's a single cylinder class. I've thought this class needed to exist for the past few years. It's for single cylinder 4x4s only, which means I can tell you right now from a shootout that I'm in the middle of putting together, all those bikes will be competitive. I think if you got a Polaris Sportsman 570, they're 44 horsepower. Those could be pretty competitive. There's 4 or 5 bikes that I think could podium that class. So now it's not just a one brand class. Nice that the Can-Am makes the Renegade. Those are $16,500. You can buy yourself a 700 single for under $10,500. So
displacement is capped, I believe, at 750 cc.
Yep.
And sorry to you Brute Force 750 owners. Yeah, you match that displacement, but no twin cylinders allowed. It's singles only.
Right. The last time they tried something, not the same class, they did a lights class. It allowed V-twins, so it just became the Can-Am 650 class. This eliminates that. There is no twin cylinders. So, and we've already seen some Can-Am 700s doing very well in the B class. Yeah. I heard a 700 won the B class last year. That's what I was told. And we've seen it podium the pro class year before last, I believe, first year came out. So with the guys at B&R. So those things are fast, and that's going to be a good class that I think you're going to be able to get into it more affordably, and hopefully it proves to be a little more affordable as the season goes on, because you're hitting things on the track with half the horsepower. And
and it is limited, and GNCC straight up, I think Yamaha worked with them on making this happen, but they said, we do not want this to be a money pit class. So there's limited things you can do as far as power goes. You can upgrade your suspension. You definitely want to upgrade the protection, skid plates and all that, but it's an affordable class that a lot of you probably already have a machine that would work well in this class.
Yeah,
Heck,
you got to take your Rancher
get out there on your
400.
Rancher.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
But Yamaha doesn't want it to be a money pit class. They're trying to make it a money making class because for 26, they have a contingency program for the class. And so if you've got a Grizzly and you go out there and you do well on it, then I think Yamaha will have a little money coming for you. Check Yamaha's website for the details.
Yeah, the sport 4x4 class is included in that contingency. So you could get out there with an affordable race machine and still make some bucks. You know,
do you guys have a list? Do you guys have a list? Did Yamaha send a press release on their contingency this year?
Yeah, keep talking and I'll pull it up.
Okay, because I was going to say, I thought I saw something come through the email, so I figured it lived on dirtwheelsmag.com.
It does. It is on our main website. I'm going to have to scroll back because that announcement was...
I'll tell you what,
not that long ago.
And we can even put a link to it in the description of these videos.
I have it right here.
Excellent.
Right here you go. It is, let me scroll down. In addition to all the pro class contingencies which have gone up, GNCC class is eligible for a total of $45,500 in Blue Crew contingencies, include the XC2 Pro-Am ATV class, the Junior A, which is the 20-plus class, Junior B, 19-plus, ATV College A, 16 to 19 age riders, ATV College B, 16 to 18 riders, ATV, and that's the ATV classes, and so which, like I said, that's A and B classes. So you got, we're talking about money for amateur racers, as well as the new 4x4 sport class that we just talked about, the single cylinder 4x4 ATVs. So yeah, check that out. You can go over to dirtwheelsmag.com or go over to Yamaha's website to check out their news on what you have to do to sign up for that. I believe you do have to sign up for Blue Crew each racing season in order to be eligible to win.
And so the last piece we have of racing news is Works Round 1 has happened since we've recorded this, and it is now AMA.
I'll say the biggest changes this year, and they've done away with side-by-sides. So the racing finishes a little earlier each day. This was the first round in Blythe, which is a very rough round. It's a sand track. My class was at the end of the day, so the track was at its roughest conditions, really torn up. I kind of wish the side-by-sides would have been out there before us just to maybe help smooth that out a little bit. There's a lot of cross ruts. What do I know, though? Maybe they would have made it worse.
I heard that they made it worse historically. I was going to ask you that because I've heard other people who've raced Works say that those guys really dug the track out.
They do, but even without them being there, it was pretty harsh. Right? A lot of the racers in the amateur classes that I raced with were saying it was one of the roughest, probably top 5 roughest races they had ever done in their life. But that's part of off-road racing,
Sure.
It was. I actually have been working a little bit more. I'm working through some issues in my hands right now. I get hand numbness. I got to work on that this weekend. That's keeping me from racing as fast as I want to, but that was definitely a good test of that. And, it was a white knuckle ride. That's part of my problem. But as far as the AMA goes, the three-wheeler guys are up in arms because their class has been dropped. A lot of them are blaming it on AMA. Others are blaming it on turnout was really weak, even though we, tried to promote that and get the racers out to the track. I don't know what the whole story is with that. Sorry, three-wheeler guys. I know some of you prefer 3 wheels to 4 and you're just better at it than most. And I don't believe all the crap about them being dangerous machines. There's just a lot of people out there that do stupid stuff on them and aren't, don't own up to their own, take responsibility for their own actions or lack of caring or safety. But I get why they did it. And, we've seen more and more ride parks and motocross tracks shutting down because of insurance reasons or the being unable to get insurance. So having the AMA backing with the AMA lawyers and AMA insurance, it's a double-edged sword, I guess. You got that stuff there. Having that backing, it kind of ensures that these races can continue. And as far as the entire weekend goes, I didn't really notice a whole lot of change.
Did you have fun?
Oh yeah, I had fun. Had a good time. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I did notice on the two-wheeled side, it seems like there was a lot of the big names came back out to ride, from Kawasaki, Beta, KTM, Honda. They had their big rigs there. It might have been a bigger deal there, and hopefully we're going to be seeing a resurgence of sport quads, which will bring a little bit more excitement to the ATV side. I think I'm going to be optimistic here. I think 2026 is going to be a pivotal year for the return of sport ATVs, and especially a sport 4x4 class. I would like to see that grow more on the West Coast like it does on the East Coast.
Well, you would like to think that one of these manufacturers will finally wake up and go, there's 12 bikes in the latest dirt bike motocross 450 shootout. Yeah. 12 bikes.
The most that they've ever had.
Right. So you would think that at some point, one of these knucklehead companies is going to go, we're competing against 11 other people making 450 dirt bikes. Maybe we should throw one of these engines in a four-wheel platform and be the only other company racing Yamaha and steal a bunch of their sales for a year and create a bunch of hype. But that's hopium. And if something comes out, we'll be here to talk about it. But that's it for the news. We're done. It's time to get geared up with some new stuff.
Sounds good. And let's get to it.
Let's do it. All right, it's time to get geared up. We're going to take a look at some new products hitting the ATV industry. But first, guys, if you have a company in the ATV space, whether it's sport related, 4x4 related, mud related, if it's got 4 wheels or 6 and handlebars, then you've got a new product for it. We'd like to feature it on the show. We typically have you featured here. We talk about your product or let you talk about your product. And then we take and make social media clips for each. So we put them out on Facebook, Instagram. You can repost them. You can reshare them. It's a lot of added value to get some product awareness increase for your latest product. And low effort. Jeff, how do they submit their products?
Hey, you can go to our website. You can contact us directly. That's www.quadcast.com. Don't forget that hyphen between quad and cast. Or you can just email us directly at advertising@quadcast.com. Again, quad-cast in the email. And we'll get back with you along with pricing. It is extremely affordable. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Well, up first, I've been talking to George Athanasiou at Precision Racing Stabilizers. You're familiar with them, aren't you, Jeff?
I am. I've run a variety of stabilizers. Ran theirs back when I was first racing works. Loved it. Great product. Even back then, what could they possibly do to improve that stabilizer?
Well, his new version, they're working on a new one, and the new one will be called the Pro 4. The Pro 4 damper, according to George, I took some notes on here, is said to have much better performance at the same resistance setting as the old damper and can even outperform the old damper at a much lighter setting.
Producing Precision Racing Products' 4th generation of ATV steering stabilizers. The new Pro 4 revolutionary new damper features a patent-pending fluid speed activated valve. Let's watch it in action. That was with the adjuster at 1 turnout, a very writable setting. What about at the lightest setting? You can see there's almost no difference in performance between the two settings. New Pro 4 damper outperforms our previous Elite damper by 83% and our old Pro damper by 200%. That means if you impact a root rock rut that turns your bars 30 degrees on the Pro damper, it would only turn them 10 degrees on the Pro 4 set at the same setting.
It's said to have better impact damping, a stronger shaft and lever to absorb more harsh impacts without failure. And it's also said to use the same mounting hardware. So if you already have a stabilizer, you already have mounting hardware, you shouldn't have to replace that. I think mainly what this damper is going to be about for guys, to me, looking at it, like, why do I want to upgrade, is this is a damper that I can get the same level of resistance. So if I'm already happy with the way my current precision absorbs impacts, which I am, that I have on my Raptor, the advantage to stepping up to this one should be I can get that same level of bump absorption quality through the handlebars that I've currently like from my damper, but I'll get lighter steering at the same setting because the damping abilities increase. So I can make the bike steer easier and still get all the bump feedback that I've come to expect from my precision stabilizer. There'll be more information coming on it soon. This isn't an official product press release. This is just to let you guys know that you might want to upgrade your stabilizer soon. George is going to give you a reason to do so.
Yeah, I'm actually intrigued. I mean, I race works and I hang out with a bunch of guys that race in the 50 plus classes. This sounds like a great product, especially for us older racers. Whereas we tend to, when the races get rougher, we might turn our dampeners up to a stiffer setting, but we find ourselves having to muscle through the corners a little bit more, which can be fatiguing all on its own. If we're getting that kind of resistance all the time at a lighter setting where we're able to turn easily, but we are also getting great resistance to bumps and everything, and it allows us to continue to lighten our grip rather than white knuckling the thing all the time. But yeah, great for the fatigue factor, especially for us older racers. It's not going to wear us out as quick. I can't wait to check this thing out.
Yeah, you see it, I see it. I'm sure we'll have some information coming on it soon. You can learn more about precision stabilizers at precision-rp.com if you want to check out their current models, or you want to go look at the new damper when it comes out here in the next, I guess, few weeks to a month. I don't have an exact release date yet, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Up next, I want to talk about, we've talked a lot in the past about Duncan Racing, their mid-range pipes, how much more rideable and even, dare I use the word luggable, they make Banshee, especially out in the dunes or out on the trails, to get a little more lower and mid-range. But you guys that are into shooting the hills out at Glamis and being in the top of the power, especially you dune riders, Duncan Racing does have their Hi-Rev Banshee pipes back in stock. If your Banshee build lives for wide open sand, desert straights, even TT tracks, these kind of pipes are great for that. But it lives in that upper range of the power band. They say you get a 35% power gain. That's massive, especially out in the dunes. They got them back in stock. You can get these with the Fat Boy 2 silencers in a standard or even a quiet. If you ride in an area that has, like up in Oregon, the dunes up there, they have sound ordinances. You can buy that silent or the more silent pipe silencer, which will keep you legal. They're made of 20 gauge stamped steel or hand welded, beautiful pipes. They have that, the same look as that mid-range pipe that we like so much. They uses stock OEM O-rings. They mount up really well. Solid fit. Of course, you're going to want to call, depending on the type of setup, what all you need, as far as your version of silencer, to get the correct pricing. But you can contact them at duncanracing.com. Give them a call, 619-258-6306, or contact them through email at sales@duncanracing.com.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always thought of Duncan as, if I was going to build a Banshee back here in the East as a track build or even a woods build, I mean, they build one of the best low end and mid-range pipes on the market, because that's obviously where the Banshee's most challenged. But sounds like whether you want to build a torquier Banshee with their I guess it's their national pipe that covers you for the bottom end and mid-range, or this more high-end pipe, Duncan's got you covered. And hey, besides selling you some of the prettiest pipes on the market, they can back that up with all the internal motor mods you need as well. So
Absolutely.
Great company. And speaking of great companies, Teixeira Tech out of Northern California, they have a new A-arm for the YFZ450R. Ed made a little video for it. Actually, he filmed a video and it was edited for him of his new YFZ450 A-arms for cross country. The The big deal about them is they're made to work with LTR 450 spindles, which offer the best steering experience for the YFZ 450R. As you know, Jeff, you have LTR spindles.
It's the hot setup right now.
Right. Makes it steer better, especially when you're turning tight. And I think that is going to make a big difference in the woods. That, and he's changing the wheelbase a little bit to make the bike track a little better, get a little bit more front end grip and turn in quicker. I don't need to give it all to you. Let's go to Ed's video and see what he's got to say about it.
Hey folks, I'm Ed with Teixeira Tech, and I'm here today with our newest release, the YFZ450R A-Arms that are engineered for the LTR geometry. So when designing these A-Arms, we wanted to eliminate the front end push of the YFZ450R. We also wanted to build the highest ground clearance A-Arms possible, and we wanted to build the best strength to weight ratio A-Arms that we could. So to accomplish this, we first started off with US sourced 4130 chromoly tubing for both the A-Arms and for the tie rods. Next, we had to address the push. So the push in the corners, obviously a lot of people have gone to a caster bracket, which we also have. And then we wanted to transfer more weight to the front of the quad, so when you go into a corner, it would really bite. So what we've done is shorten the wheelbase a little bit for this, and we've gone slightly wider than what our other A-Arms were. So to accomplish the ground clearance side of it, we opted to go with a shorter shock, a little bit outside the norm of what's being done in the industry right now. But what this has allowed us to do is raise all of the tubing, gussets, everything on the A-Arm up higher. That gives us more clearance. We've always had a press-in ball joint. The reason for the press-in ball joint is now we don't have the shaft sticking out and causing an area where you could get hung up, especially by the tire where it drops into the ruts. So we've gained all the ground clearance here. We've gained the ground clearance under the shock by raising it, and we've always had our ground clearance in this area. This allows us to do what we believe is the broadest, most amount of ground clearance area under the A-Arm. We do have our CXC adjustment system, which you can see here. It is a toothed washer and caster housing that you can adjust caster within 5 minutes or less on both sides, and it won't affect your camber if done correctly. We've got our caster bracket. This raises the back of the upper A-Arm. That way then when you go into a corner, instead of adding caster and making the steering stiffer, you're actually lightening the steering so it's easier. And when you get on the gas, A-Arms drop out, you've got a more stable setup. These are the points that we feel make our A-Arms the best that they can be. If you have any more questions, please drop them below or call us at 209-833-9160 or email us at info@teixeiratech.com, and we'd be happy to help you. Thanks.
Well, I feel like we learned a lot, don't you?
I did. I'm out here in Phoenix, but I did get my chance to race a little GNCC at the end of last year, and that's exciting stuff. I kind of want to head back east and try these new arms out.
Yeah, and one thing that Ed didn't mention in there, because he doesn't want to stir the pot, but that's why we're here. His cross-country A-Arms offer more ground clearance than any other company for the YFZ450R at this point. Cole Richardson has used them. He loves them. And why not? Because cross-country, you get deep ruts. And from what I understand, the Hauser arms for the YFZ450R, they don't add ground clearance to the front end. Lone Star has a new front A-Arm that's supposed to add more ground clearance. But when you get under the shock, where the shock mounts, the Teixeira Techs are flying high. They offer notably more ground clearance than anything else on the market, even those new Lone Star arms.
Yeah, less exposure to rocks and roots for sure.
Right. And dragging in the ruts. So if Teixeira Tech's a new company to you, think of it as maybe a gem you didn't know about, and definitely check those out. Head on over to teixeiratech.com and you can learn more or give Ed a call. And if you have any questions, and he's more than happy to answer all of them and get you set up.
Cool. Are we ready for our special guest?
We are. Let's get through the break and talk to Mr. Nick Gennusa coming right up. All right, it's time for our special guest segment. Today we have a very good one. I think Jeff and I definitely agree on that. Joining us today is Nick Gennusa. He's a former pro ATV motocross racer. He is the founder of the Turkey Derby, known mostly in our industry for TRX90 racing, but there's a little bit more story than that to it. We're going to let him get into that. And he is the founder and operator of Facility 15, a off-road motocross park up in the New Jersey area. Is that correct, sir? Nick, welcome to the show.
Yeah, great to have you on. I know we've been working on for this for a while. And I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody we're actually looking at getting Nick on the masthead for Dirt Wheels magazine as a contributing editor. We're working on his first story right now for the May issue. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but excited to have you with Dirt Wheels, but especially here on Quadcast tonight. So let's just get right into it. Nick, tell us how you actually came to the place that you're at today. I want to hear about how you got into ATV racing, off-roading, and we'll go into your race career from there.
Well, I'll do the best I can at this and go all the way back to I was 2.5 years old and lucky enough that Santa brought a quad for Christmas, and I had a Lem 50, if you remember that brand.
Oh yeah.
And it's a crazy story. I actually got the quad back like 20 years later and I have it again. But I got a Lem 50 for Christmas. I rode her around my parents' house. Now we grew up on like less than 1 acre for years. And I had a pretty cool little oval track that I learned everything out of. I still swear I have more laps at that place than I do anywhere else in my life. And I lived there from when I was born all the way up to 16. So the riding itself, I rode around the house and thought I was the shit for a long time, riding around by myself. And then I remember my father, we probably saw it coincidentally in Dirt Wheels and online at the time. This is before Facebook. This is before any real media. This is back to
the good old days.
Yeah, 2004. And we discovered I could do a race. I went to Raceway Park, Englishtown, New Jersey in 2004. I remember I retired the Lem. When I went to the race, I had an Eton Viper 90. If you remember one of those, it was like all black, little 90s. And it was an automatic CVT, and I went to Raceway Park. And I remember getting there the first time. I remember distinctly and looking at all the other quads and people, and the quads were so wide to me. And I saw like how much they sounded different. They were wider, and I got my butt kicked. I remember there was 13 people in the race. I went 11-8 on the motos for the day, and it was the last race that year in 2004. So 2005, over the winter, we tricked out that quad. Came back, had a really good year. I didn't win any races that year. Stayed locally, Sleepy Hollow, Flying Dutchman. Some people around my area will know those tracks. Go Raceway Park. 2006, I did District 6, which was pretty big back in the day. It's still around to this day, District 6. I competed on a TRX90, Cobra at the time. And you got me really thinking. 2006, I did that. Won 2 championships in my third year on 70 and 90 class. 2007 was a big year because that is when I did the full tour of WPSA. So I was
the good old days.
And I did WPSA the full season, every single track, from Georgia to Oklahoma, the whole tour I did, and was lucky enough at 11 turning 12 years old that year that my father took me around and drove me everywhere. And I won a 70 and 90 championship in that. 2008 was funky because I waited for WPSA to come out. And if you remember that year specifically of ATV motocross, that season started after the Nationals, and then that series fell through. So then those people that waited out for WPSA had nowhere to go other than joining the Nationals late. So I joined the Nationals late in 2008, maybe like a round or two late because I waited for the other series. I would call it a wash a little bit because it wasn't a great year. 2009, basically 2008 all the way up to 2025, just straight Nationals every single year, every single race, traveling. But even before that, I mean, the commitment started far back, but it was pretty good. I mean, I'm skipping over a lot of stuff. 2010, I went to a 450. Honda TRX 450 brings me back quite a bit. You got me thinking all kinds of things right now. 11.
This is good stuff. We were there. We
2000
saw all this stuff going on.
2000, because I wasn't old enough in 2010 till the end of the year to compete. 2011, I was turning 16. I was doing the New England series. I was going to commit to that for a year. I think we were moving houses at the time, went from the 1 acre lot to like the 5 acre my parents are still on to this day. And I broke my collarbone right after the first race, riding a pit bike actually. And I think it was fine that year that I got hurt. We moved houses. It was good. I did 1 or 2 nationals at the end of that year to get my feet wet. 12, I would say, was like the start for me. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. In January 2012, I went down to Florida at 16 years old, and I trained with John Natale for a month at Hard Rock in Florida. He'll remember this too if he listens to this. I know he'll remember this. So I trained with him for a month down there, which was really big for me at the time. And I won that year. Now, there used to be 4 A classes in the Nationals. There was 4-stroke A, 450A, Production A, and Open A. So I raced 4-stroke A, 450A, and Production A, and I won all 3 of those at 16 years old in my first year on a 450, really.
Wow.
That year specifically, I had Travis Spader travel with me the whole year. Now, Travis, if you remember a little bit back, he was retired in 2012, and think about where he was. So in 2012, Travis lived, I used to live a little bit closer to him. I live probably 40 minutes from him now, but I used to live about 15 minutes from him. Because I used to live with my parents. He lives by my parents towards the beach area where I moved west, where my track is now. So Travis was retired, but he wanted to still race. He was racing a Can-Am that year. He was on like the contingency program, and he was bouncing around, and he was racing 4 classes, and he was winning all of them. So he was making killer contingency. But we worked out a deal with Travis where we brought his quad to every race. We brought his gear, and all he had to do was show up. So we trained a little bit locally throughout the whole year. He was basically a mentor to me. After I won those 3 championships, he had kind of an in with Can-Am a little bit, being that he was on their quad winning so many. And then Travis quickly set me up. I didn't have to convince them that hard. I had a stellar year, which helped me tremendously. And at 17, I got a deal with Can-Am. It felt like Rockstar at the time. They gave me 2 quads, a full gear line was like their Can-Am gear. Pretty good contingency for what it was. And now it's 2013. Now I race Pro-Am and Open A. Now Open A is the 4th A class that I didn't race the year prior. Sorry if this gets like really confusing. 2013, I raced Open A and Pro-Am. I got 4th in Pro-Am, and I won Open A. So I technically won all 4 of those A classes. That was a 1-year deal. And I knew it was a 1-year deal. Can-Am pulled all their support on, not just me, but everybody after that.
So if I can ask
everything was getting bad at that time.
Yeah.
Actually.
So if I can ask you real quick, how advanced was your Honda program coming off of the TRX and switching to the Can-Am? Like how?
It was not great. I had 1 quad that year, like 1. So I practiced and raced on the same exact quad. So instead of having 2 quads that were, like half apart, it was just all in on 1. So it was constantly getting rebuilt. It got constant love, but I won all those championships literally on 1 bike and practiced on the same machine. So
no, that's amazing. Now the Can-Am out of the box was a less powerful machine. The XMX model actually had probably the best suspension of the bunch as production bikes went back then from our shootout. Yeah. But that bike was a little down on power, and I know that there were some reliability issues with it, but you had, I guess, a pretty well set up machine since you had a semi-factory deal with them. How was that bike for you coming off the Honda, and how did it fare for you? So
my Honda, backtracking a little bit, I think I had a Rage did the engine, but it was only like head and piston. Like we didn't get any bottom end stuff. It wasn't a crazy build. It was actually really reliable. And I'm a small guy, and I was even smaller at the time, half my age ago. I was probably 130 pounds at the time. My Can-Am deal, that Can-Am was a lot faster than that Honda because the Honda wasn't fully worked, for one. It was fast, and it was all I really needed at the time. I was on a BCS. If you remember, BCS is who Josh Creamer rode for a couple of years. So that engine was very fast. Like, I was shocked how fast that quad actually went. I actually really like it. I didn't care for working on them. I didn't quite understand, and not that I was really mechanical at the time, but a lot of things didn't make a lot of sense to me, but it handled so freaking well. Everyone knows those quads sounded really cool. They sounded so unique, but that quad was fast. It was a 1-year deal, so it was getting off the Honda, getting into a new manufacturer, and then that quad was good. It had a Walsh box. It was the real deal. It was legit. When that ended, Chad Wienen approached me in 2014 for a Pro-Am only deal. Now, that was a 1-year deal that didn't make it to the end, which I don't have to get into it. It didn't work out for a couple of things at the time. Learned a lot, no bad blood. I rode for him in Pro-Am only. I actually got 5th that year. And I spent the winter down south, 2014, going into that season with Chad and Chris Borich, where Chad was the champ at the time. Chris Borich was the champ at GNCC. And I spent 2 months at them at 18 years old. I remember at the time I was 18, right out of high school. I did a single semester in college locally at a community college. And Chad reached out over email and approached with something. And I never signed up, went back to college since then. And I took that opportunity, went to Florida, did the 1-year deal with Chad, and then I learned a lot throughout that. And then in 2015, which this will sum up now, the whole thing, 2015 is where I started Gennusa Racing, and I ran my own program for the last 11 plus years and never went back to anything else and really wouldn't want it any other way. I'm happy at how I went about it and learned through multiple years of like, it's all ups, but there were some ups and downs. You know, I'm skipping over stuff. There were some ups and downs, but
Now,
but you made a name for yourself, and we were all following you. And I told you, I knew who you were. When we were watching the national races, but what really made an impression on me wasn't your sport quad. Remember we were talking. I think it was your dad's Polaris Sportsman 850. When I saw a video of you clearing a big double, I don't know if that was at your facility or what.
yeah, that's where I am now.
You know, that was probably what, 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was just riding my dad's Polaris 850 around the property, new track layout. And I ripped around this one corner. I was just checking out the track that day. Like, it wasn't, I normally don't dick around like that at all. I ripped around this one corner and I didn't have a helmet on. I was just looking at the track, like, casually. And I always, like, I'm smart with that. Like, I won't send something unless I'm geared up.
Yes,
And,
don't try this at home.
Yeah, don't try it at home. And went around this corner. I went to my friend who was standing there. I was like, I think I can make that. Like, I'm almost positive I can make that. And if I do the first one, I can do all 3 of these. So go do it. So I went back, grabbed the helmet, and then came around the corner and just, like, it was, I guess for what it was, at the time, it didn't seem that crazy to me. But looking at it now and watching that video, it was like, that was pretty nuts in itself for how heavy.
It's an 800 or 900 pound machine.
Yeah, just fully committed.
Versus 400. Yeah. It impressed me. I was sharing that with everybody when it came out. I was like, look at this. This is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that was more of a, you know, it kind of has nothing to do with my pro career, but I guess my pro abilities. So, yeah. So, yeah, and that's it. That's where I learned a lot. And we're in a different time of ATV racing now. And not to bash any of the guys that raced 15, 20 years ago, but they had it made in a lot of ways where the support was there. So in the last 10, 15 years, and the support's not there, all these guys running their own programs have to become quite good business people. And as the kind of dropped the support, it made it harder. But for me personally, I know it made me smarter, because the harder it got, I had to work, like, you had to work harder, but you had to work in different ways to get support and sponsorship. And I learned, like anyone will tell you in life, I learned solely off of mistakes of just how I went about things, or I did this the wrong way, or I can't believe I tried to get sponsored for this and looked like an idiot walking in there and walked back out. And if I do it now, it would have been 10 times better. So you really only learn off making giant mistakes, but the support wasn't there in quad racing, where I had to become this whole other person of the business side of it. And quite different from my program. Like, if you look at Chad Wienen or Rastrelli Racing or Max Lindquist, they have their motorsports tied. So they sell parts out of their program. So it's like they're selling the parts they run, which is beneficial, where I didn't do that, where I was basically myself on my own program and a name and built my popularity up as best as I could to where my social media was big and I was presentable, that not only that I did not sell parts, which may have helped me, I just didn't get into it. It was basically you were sponsoring an athlete that was followed, liked, not by everybody, but liked, and enough to where this guy was marketable for our company, and he can speak, he can market our stuff well. And without him selling our parts, he still can sell our parts. There were a lot of generous companies that helped me that had nothing to do with the sport, which I'll always thank to the day I die, the people that helped me get to where I was. And that's like pretty much where I sit now, going all the way back to the question where I sit now with my own track, Facility 15, and how I've learned and taken those things, and how do you cross towards the end of my career as my track business picked up, taking a step back, but to the side of how you bring that knowledge and some of the sponsors and all your existing contacts into what you're doing now. So that's where, when I started that pit bike thing, it's like I'm all over the place, but it's kind of just me in a nutshell. I get involved in so many different things, but they all like resort to the same core, and they all come from like the same thing, which is ATV motocross. So like it's kind of crazy how my life is, because it's widespread, but it all narrows back to the same place.
So you said it was 2015 that you started your own program when you were
2015, and that was the year I started pro racing.
Now, were you back on a Yamaha throughout your 2014
I stayed on
with
a
Chad,
Yamaha
and then
that year. I stayed on a Yamaha that year in 2015, 2016, and I was making pretty good waves where I actually, this is crazy, I skipped over this. I had a deal in 2017, all within the industry, with a few families that helped me out quite a bit for the year. They helped me out. Rich Gillette, which was River Racing, if you remember him. He unfortunately passed away a few years ago from cancer. He was a massive supporter, not just to me, but to ATV racing as a whole. So that guy did massive things for our sport. So I went to a Honda that year, still on my own program, with support from them representing their names, but I never, and it was probably one of the things that I did the best in my 11 years. I never came off of my own program. I always ended up under my own tent by choice. And like, everybody has different deals. Joel Hetrick rides for somebody. He doesn't run his own program. They run it for him. He shows up. The bikes are there. The expense, none of it's on him. God bless him. He deserves that by all means. That works for some people. There's not like a right or wrong. It just depends on your situation, depends on your sponsors, there's a lot of factors. But for me, I liked owning every single, not just the material and the quads, but I really liked owning the decisions. And if I wanted to run something, I was going to run that. If I didn't want to do that, nobody told me I had to, where it's just how I am. I like being my own boss. So even with that support from those people that year in 2017, I rode for Baldwin, or I rode his engines that year. I always remained under my own tent. So I always was my own boss in a way, with sponsors and pretty much everything. And if you're that type of person, you should never look outside that. If you're I don't know how to say it, but for me, I'll leave it at that. It's not to offend other people if I say it the other way. But
something you're making me think of, and you brought up Max Lindquist. I hung out with him a week and a half ago at the Works race. He's out here running the first three rounds
such a nice
before.
Guy. He's one of the nicest. He's one of the nicest guys in that pro gate. I swear to God. There's maybe only two.
Incredibly professional too. The whole time he was out there. Again, this is just him warming up, and he won. He won the pro race on a quad that wasn't really set up for that track. On top of that, I don't want to take that away from any of the West Coast other racers, because Travis Damon, man, he was tearing it up. Bo was out there doing his thing at 45 with the flu. But Max came out there, and I never once saw him just kicking back and doing nothing. He was always working on the machine. He had a flywheel blow apart on one day. He spent the whole day digging parts out of the engine just so he could race the next day. And he told me a little bit about that business aspect that you talked about. And I'm sitting here listening to you now talk about that too. And I was like, man, if you're not in that top three, it's it's not easy. You guys are just having to constantly hustle to keep this stuff going. And you talked about how it's a business, and wow, I'm super impressed. And a lot of our readers say that's nothing like the old days. No, for the racers, it sounds like it's a lot more difficult.
It's a lot harder. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to get into it with some of the older guys that might come on here, and you don't know how we had it. But looking at that support years ago and looking at it now, and if somebody wants to argue me, I'll get into it. It's a lot harder now.
It's gotta be, because
now to make it. Now, think about
yeah.
this. Who's like his mentor? It's Chad Wienen. Chad Wienen's a very smart guy. I learned a lot off of Chad. So it never surprised me that Max turned out the way he is. And he's pretty young. I think he's only 22 or 3.
22, and ranked number 4 right now, I believe.
You are who you hang around. That's who you become. So there's a tiny piece of me that I have a little bit of Chad Wienen in me, very little bit. Now, him and I might not see eye to eye on some things, but I respect the hell out of that guy because I spent a lot of time with him, and I learned a lot off him. I learned a lot off Natalie. I learned a lot off Joe Bird. I learned a lot off Travis Bader, and I learned a little bit from all these guys. Put it in the box, shake it up, and become this own version of you. Yeah, that's really the whole thing. You know, Max, he's a very smart kid. He's very in tune with the machine. You know, he's spent a lot of time with Chad, so I expect no less.
Yeah.
Chad's really the hero of the sport. You know.
Yeah.
Like
so what was finally the catalyst for you to, finally stop racing full time? What made you decide it was time to step away from the nationals and pursue your own track and the other things you were doing in life?
Back in 2020, I was trying to move out at the time. I was doing decently well. Like I was making money racing for however many years I was on my own program. Well, I was making money because I was living at home, which is, you got no bills at home at the time. And when you have no bills and you're racing and your programs are completely paid for by your sponsors, you're working your butt off, but there's definitely some extra money. I'm not going to disclose how much. It's not rock star money, but I was definitely making money for some years. So I saved up for a while. I really wanted to get my own place. I was 24 and things were very cheap at that time. This was before COVID hit. And I came across this giant lot, which it was never in my plans to build a home that I'm in now, or any track ever. And I got this lot, acquired it. It was very difficult for a lot of reasons. It was just very complicated, the whole thing. That's like a whole different conversation in itself. I'm going to skip over it, which it's okay to, because when I got this lot, I then branched the idea of doing a track, starting this whole thing. The Turkey Derby was going so well. I was 6 years straight at my parents', and it like created this version of me of like, I remember like the third year in that where it's like the event was big and like, I can make money doing this. And then
when did the Turkey Derby start? Since we're going to touch on that, like what year did you start that? You were still racing, obviously. Yeah. You just said because that had been going on for a while. What year did that start?
Pro, 2015. My first year in pro, I did it at the end of that first year. But so I want to answer your question first. I got this property. It turned into this whole thing where I was doing a track, and the goal was a long time ago. And I still sit in the same position this day, is when I'm done with racing and when I say no more, I have something that I can fall back onto as a business where I'm not the person to retire ATV motocross and go to, no offense to whoever has it, but go to like a cubicle job. Like it's not for me. I have to stick in what I do. So really the deciding factor was I was traveling with my father forever with racing. I was on my own program for a really long time. And I was really running the entire thing and supported entirely by the industry and a little bit with outside of the industry. And the only thing my dad was supporting me with those years was really driving to the races and paying the fuel to get to the races, which was massive, very massive. My father had a really bad stroke in 2021 where the stroke's a heart attack to the brain. So he doesn't work anymore. He doesn't drive anymore. He almost died. He was in the hospital for 3 months. He can't see out of his left eye. Our family dynamic has drastically changed since then. drastically. He had a stroke when he was 56. He's 60 now. And I was thinking to myself at the time, if my dad got me this far at 26 years old and all this knowledge, if I can't do this on my own and race anymore, then we failed as a group. So I worked my butt off in racing, went entirely by myself, entirely, like driving to the races, just you name it. And it was...
You were working on your own machines?
What's that?
Doing your own work on your machines too?
Oh, yeah.
Your own mechanic, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He never really worked on my quads for, I mean, when I was little, ever since like the Can-Am and on, it was really, that was kind of on me. Yeah, since, probably 14, 15 years ago. So I raced completely by myself for 2022, 3, 4, and 5. But not only was it getting really difficult, but I took on, as I'm trying to do this business back home, my family kind of fell apart a little bit in a way where like my mom wasn't, taking care of him. And it kind of, I don't want people to like feel bad, but it's the truth. Our family kind of fell apart in a way where the racing started to feel like a thorn in the side, and it was causing a lot of extra stress and pressure and risk. So as my business built up and as this property built up here, I just had too many, it was too widespread, and I had too many things that I was trying to start in my life. The business started to take not off like crazy, but enough to where like I knew deep down, if I fully commit to this, this will take off. And this is what's going to take care of me on the back end. Not easily. I'm going to work my butt off in this, but it's what's going to take off on the back end. I'm looking at a lot of things. This took me like 2 years to really like commit to this decision. It's hard because you're closing the door on something that you opened as a kid, and this is all you've ever done in your life. So when you are stopping something, you're trying to translate to your next thing in life, and it's just freaking hard, like mentally, and kind of defeating. But it was the whole goal years ago was for it to take off. And when I want to say no more with racing, I have this. I came out a little sooner than I wanted. I think I wanted to go to like, I don't know, 32, 33 years old. But the biggest thing for me, and I'll end with this, is I looked at my race program and it was good, but I just, and without sounding like negative on the sport, I didn't want to watch another 5 or 10 years of just that, which would work. I know I have the brains to keep racing until I'm 40, but how good will it get? It was hard to accept. I'm not a Joel Hetrick. I'm not a Chad Weenan. I raced 11 years. I'm a top 5 guy, all of them, except for the last one. Unless I wake up tomorrow, and the reality is, unless I really woke up and I started beating Joel Hetrick and winning these races, my life in racing's not going to change. And I wanted to see not that I'm rushing to get there, but I would rather see a 40-year-old version of myself outside of racing with the track and what other real estate things I get involved with in my life than the 40-year-old version of me doing the same exact thing as what I've done all these years. Because it was good, but it was always the same. And it was tough. I had to take the leap, and a lot of good things in the hopper. It's emotional, to be honest with you. It's tough because watching all these guys training down south, like that's all I knew. And here I am, like I find myself, especially right now, just this time of year, I'm like put my energy and effort towards much different things. And I have a lot of cool, big potential things in the hopper for what I have at the property here now and the track. So, racing taught me you get what you put into it. And, I know what it takes to be a top guy in pro class, and just in that life transition now of taking all my effort and energy and putting it into my business, and my business is within something I know very well. So
this is all great information for guys that, are coming up in the sport. You're going to have to work hard at this. If you really love it, you better love it. And, things they're going to come up along the way that might slow that dream down. So moving on though, I think it's great that you got your own track, and especially here at Dirt Wheels, especially out on the East Coast, we hear a lot of guys complaining that there's no places to ride anymore. And here you have this track. I want you to tell us about it, plug it, tell us how people can get involved, or how they can become. I know you said it was a club deal too. Give us some info on it.
It's called Facility 15. We have a website. It's facility and the number 15nj.com. And then our Instagram, Facility 15nj. And you'll pull up a lot of stuff on it and see that it's, I don't have to overly push it, but it's very legit. We do a lot of different things here. We do club memberships, track rentals. I teach a lot of riding lessons still. I actually teach a lot of dirt bike lessons, which I don't think anybody knows that. I teach a lot of dirt bike lessons, a lot of kids, just like learning how to ride, some a little bit advanced, but I don't overstep in areas that I'm not a pro rider on a dirt bike. But I teach a lot. But the big thing for my track, we do a lot of pit bike days, and the pit bike scene here, not only do I do the Turkey Derby events, but we do these ride days where I open to the public 2 or 3 times a month, and they're like ridiculous. Like, I mean, we get an average of 100 riders a day on mini bikes on a Sunday from 10 to 6, or not 10 to 6, 10 to 4. And that's like a whole thing in itself. And it's been really good. It's weather dependent, but, this whole business keeps me very, very busy. It's work. It is still a lot of labor too. It has its days where it's like, this is, I don't know how long I'm going to physically do this in my life. And then other days where it's like, shut up. Like, life could be so much worse, so it's,
you could be in that cubicle job.
Yeah. Well, I live on this property. It's a shared driveway, and I have an easement. So my track is technically on a separate lot that's behind mine, and it was landlocked. It was a 53-acre lot that was behind where my house was, and it was for sale for years, and nobody bought it because you had to own a lot attached to the road with road access. So I had to create an easement through the township, get an approval to ride here. I didn't need an approval to ride, but I needed a use variance for this property to turn it into a business. So I can legally collect money now, where in this state, New Jersey, like you unfortunately have to do everything by the book or you pay the price. So I run a legitimate business out of here now. We do townships events. I did a summer camp program. I'm actually meeting with my township mayor, who I've met many a times. I'm meeting with her next week, and we're trying to get them more involved in more stuff. They like what I do here. So we're very in tune with the town, the police programs. We have a lot of cool things in the hopper, and it's our location is killer for what it is. So I think if I didn't have this, I would still be racing. And if I wasn't racing, I would be going completely nuts in my life. Like I don't know anything. Like this is it. It is such a distraction from my retirement. It's crazy. And it's a big help to me, honestly, to just still be around it. So,
like you said, you are not completely retired. You and I talked earlier about, you got a bucket list. There are some events you're still going to come out and race occasionally, do stuff that you enjoy doing.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of those bucket list races that you've already done that you want to continue to do? And what are some that you would look forward to trying out for the first time?
Well, I still have the RV. I got a couple YFZs. I got a brand new full race one that I haven't even rode yet, just to have if I want to go do some. I might do Budds Creek this year, maybe Briarcliff. I have got to go back and do that Ponte Vaux race in France again. The Argentina race, Enduro del Verano, I did in 2020. That was so cool in itself. I'm pretty sure that nothing will beat that type of event that I've ever been to, but I'd rather go back to both of them. But I really want to go back to that France one because I just had so much fun at that. So I'm hoping to go back to this year. It's likely to happen. I've got to do a GNCC. I talked to Scott Newby recently from Yamaha, who he wants me to do one. Possibly, he put in my head a week ago on a utility quad or some kind of something Yamaha's coming out with, or they're out with it. He wants me to do a GNCC.
Wait. What is this about? Didn't hear about this part.
He's got something this year that he wants to put me on that's not a 450, and I told him I'd do it.
Oh, he might. He does want us to come back out and race the Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
yeah,
know,
it's
Joe.
something.
I think Scott's been lying to us about something that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Or actually, we talked about earlier, but we're going to talk about it again here in Rev Limiter.
But
No,
I'm like,
that's cool though.
Yeah, I got to do a GNCC. It's crazy. I've never done one. I got to do one.
He actually hinted to me that it might be snowshoe. He might throw you into the fire, or should I say the mud?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Kind of have nothing.
How can you pass on that?
Well, I have nothing to lose. Number one, I've never raced a utility quad on any form of scale, and I've never raced a GNCC. So it's, I don't know, maybe I'll do it okay. I had no idea.
I know.
I don't think it's easy.
I went out there for the first time, and I appreciated that independent rear suspension for sure. Yeah. It is rough. You know, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Us West Coasters have no clue. You know, in the cross country series, you know how tight the trees are, and I hear it's like they say it's a freeway now compared to what it was 20, 30 years ago. So good stuff. And you definitely got to do that. I'm going to push for you. I'm going to call Scott tomorrow.
Stuff, you know, or whether it's you guys or going out west or doing something with Yamaha. When I talked to Scott last week to do some like ride and test and photo shoot stuff, kind of similar to what we talk about, that's likely to happen too. So I'm going to stay pretty involved. I mean, I'm young enough to still be not just a voice, but competitive too in a lot of areas within ATV racing. I want to see it evolve. I really do.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Hey, let's should we switch to kind of a hot potato of a topic here? The Walsh Stark hybrid electric quad. You know, there's a lot of crazy comments from people who just hate it. Oh, yeah. But then there's people like you who have been on it.
What's up? I'm Nick Gennusa. I'm with Mike Walsh from Walsh Race Craft, and today I'm going to be the first person to send one of these Stark ATV quads.
We've seen the video, and it's pretty impressive. Tell us a little bit about that ride you did on a Stark, where you did it, and tell us your impression of that machine.
Well, I think for the type of quad it is, and not just because it's me, but I think they found the perfect person to ride it and market it, because I'm a person that'll say it how it is. If it wasn't good, I'd be saying it wasn't good. If it's good, I'll stand my ground on it, and I'll argue people that it's good because I know it is. And I'm just that kind of person. So like initially years ago, I wasn't a fan of like the whole electric thing. And then as I saw it evolve and saw these dirt bikes like really doing well and competitive, and these things like really legit. I had a Stark rep come out to my house 3 years ago here, and he contacted our local dealership. Hey, we want to bring a Stark out for a couple local people to ride it. Where can we go? They brought him to my track. Good. I was talking to the guy there. I still talk to him to this day. I rode the thing and I was blown away. Mike Walsh, I'm skipping ahead to Mike Walsh, had a customer that came to him. They wanted one put in the quad. They built a couple of them, but respectfully, nobody was really doing anything with it. Everyone was just kind of riding them, and then like nobody's racing it. No one's jumping it. No one's talking about it. This is like such a missed like avenue that like it's sitting right in front of us. This guy has like a $40-something thousand quad that this is not being put on the map. That was in Mike Walsh's ear for like 2 months, and it was a customer's quad, the one I rode, and the guy lived in north of me. So Mike had to drive from Florida, and he met the guy at my house, and the guy picked it up from here, but let me ride it. And I begged him for 3 months, dude, you got to bring that thing here. We're going to have one day together. We're going to shoot. And I think he heard me, but I don't think he realized that not only were the videos going to go big, but we were going to make some big waves. I think Mike's one of my best friends. I think he really understands it now, that it had to be put in front of the right person to not ride it, review it, test it, but speak on it. Where nobody was really talking how it is. Like my review I did for you guys that's going in Dirt Wheels about it, that's a very thorough, long thing. The 2-minute Instagram or Facebook videos reviews are still more than anyone has ever spoke on those. And they're thorough as well for how short they are. But we're just getting started in that. And that is a whole nother something, love it or hate it. But what else is happening in ATV racing? Yamaha makes a quad, and not going to bash, Yamaha or anyone, but they're the only ones. I'm not saying get rid of them. Nobody should, I don't want electric to come in and wipe out gas. That's not what I'm saying. But nobody else is trying in any avenue in our sport with a manufacturer let the Pro Class gas rock as is. Let it be. Let it still be the Prestige one. But let's create a separate one down the road or other classes where it's completely optional. No one's forcing you to buy one or race it. I'm not telling people to get rid of your gas and buy this. But it's a second option, and these become legitimate, which could take a long time. Why bash it? What else is happening in our sport? You know, you can't even bash like anyone. Electric gas, like who's doing it? You know?
Yeah,
So
and I'll say I believe the one that you rode too was, you know, one of the first versions of the Stark. That motor and that battery setup. Now they've got the enduro out that lasts longer, and the solid state battery tech that's coming now. You know, we're talking within the next 5 years, you could have 4 hours of one of these things. It could pull off a GNCC race easily with a pro rider. And they're talking about, because of that solid state tech that everybody is doing. I know I saw somebody online made a comment about, you know, somebody's going to come here and buy that up and just to keep it out, you know, because there's not a whole lot of maintenance that goes into it. So, you know, you're not buying parts constantly and stuff. But every manufacturer, all the Japanese are invested in I've seen it on the patent sites. They are invested in that solid state electric technology right now, along with gas. Again, it's not going to replace the gas machines, but that stuff is coming. I've seen videos of the Stark dirt bike where they have one of the race teams has got it down to where they can replace that battery in under 40 seconds. You know, it won't be long before we see them racing the Baja 1000, you know? So yeah. And one of the biggest takeaways I saw from I saw your ride that you did. I was blown away. I couldn't believe how responsive this thing was, how fast it came out of the corners. I think you were running at 60, 65 horsepower setting. That wasn't even the highest setting. And then I saw another video of you riding a CRF 450 hybrid, and I'll say this. I believe that was one of the older carbureted versions.
Yeah, it was.
Am I correct? Yeah. But man, there was a gigantic difference between performance between those two videos. Maybe the Honda wasn't quite running as well as it could have been, or as like a new motor with the EFI does. But that Stark just looked like you could do no wrong. You know,
yeah,
I do believe you told me you kind of had to relearn how to ride because it is a little different. Tell us about that.
they're totally different in itself. People think, well, you don't have to shift, or they're easier. Well, it's easier in the aspect you don't have to shift, but they were a little tricky. I mean, I'm a strong believer in it. I'm building my own right now with Walsh. When I bought 2 of them, 2 months ago, 2026. I sold one of my race quads. I had a few of them. I sold one of them, and I wanted to put the money somewhere. So I went and bought 2 of these dirt bikes, and I wanted one for myself. They're the new 2026 1.2. So that's the new battery. And then the other one I just sent back with Mike Walsh. So when he came here a month ago, I sent him back with a brand new Stark to do the same thing. It's going to take the motor out, and that's the new improved battery. So I'm very excited to try that. And it's a little bit longer range, but I'm a massive believer in it because I rode it. I think like the quad I rode, all that footage, I rode that for 20 minutes. Like put me on that thing for like a week or two and me really dialing the settings. I mean, I'm riding the thing and the freaking owner of the quad is watching. I can only like try so many test things where it's like, I don't want to, it's not mine. You know what I mean? Like if people don't realize that, like that was like very limited riding that I got to ride it. And we shot it.
But still impressive.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, give me a couple weeks on it, and I'm going to do some lap time stuff. And when mine comes back eventually, when he's done with it in a few months, it's going to be a spitting image of one of my white and black YFZs with a Stark engine in it. It's going to be my entire setup with a different powertrain. And I'm going to get comfortable on that. And I'm going to go back with my brand new fully raced Z450, and I'm going to give it all on both. And I'm going to do the lap time comparison on my own track, and I'm not going to cheat either way. I'm going to go as fast as I can on the electric, and I'm going to go as fast as I can on the gas. And I think there's the pros and cons to both. It's cool. I mean, I'm still going to side with the gas if I had to right now. But how much potential that electric has out of the gate, it's going to be something eventually.
And it's going to get better, yeah. Joe, I haven't seen you go this long without saying a word. I'm sorry if I've been cutting you off.
No, I was talking earlier. I knew you had a lot of plans and what you wanted to talk to Nick about.
Well, hop in here and
bikes
and ask Nick some more questions. You got any questions about the Stark?
I haven't shut up myself.
I was only gonna say after the show is over, if you need a cameraman, holler.
He's one of the old school best for sure. Got the most recognized voice in ATV media for sure. So
I like it.
Cool.
So yeah.
No, it's cool. The Stark is cool. I'm excited for more things, and we have a lot of things in the hopper with that as well.
Awesome. Hey, while you were talking about your racing, when you got started, you were talking about back in 06, 07, 08. It reminded me, we started shooting this podcast a couple of days ago. And since that time, we found out that Joe Bird, number 7, passed away. And I'm sure you probably got to meet him back in your early days and stuff. And that's a big loss to the ATV community. Passed away from cancer he was only in his 50s. And we just want to give out our prayers and our condolences to the family and all of his friends and everybody in the ATV community, thinking a lot about his wife and his family right now. All your best from Dirt Wheels and ATV On Demand, and I'm sure Nick Gennusa too. I'll let you guys talk a little bit about that also if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, Joe is an icon in itself. Like me going back and saying Chad Weenan is the greatest of all time. Joe Bird is right there, or arguably more. I spent time with him. I've known him for a long time. And I can promise there is no guy in this entire sport, more than me, I'll say more than myself. He has more passion than anybody for this sport out of any racer I've ever met in my life. Where that guy I remember watching towards the end of his career, like he never wanted to stop. Like you could tell his age is like, it almost bothered him that he just couldn't go that ability that he used to be, but he never wanted to stop, because even when he stopped, he still found incredible ways to stay involved. He's very smart. He was a fantastic teacher. I know a lot of people have spent a lot of time with him. I spent probably a month total at his house. You can't go to his house and not be impressed. Even if he was making crazy big money in his day, the vision that guy had in his time was incredible. Like watching that video that Digging Deep podcast or reposted recently, when it's like the house tour of Joe Bird back in 06, like that was the real deal. I've been there. I've seen it. It's incredible. He was really, love him or hate him. A lot of people didn't like him because his dirty riding, but it's part of our sport, and
we say we need more of that today.
Right. Let's do it.
So we
need a Deegan out there.
He's very smart business guy. And he's, there was a lot to learn from him. One of the most probably top 1 or 2, and I could say comfortably, he's probably the smartest, most knowledgeable guy in our entire sport, from mechanically to training to business to every single part. It's very sad. I've been pretty bothered by it, because apparently he was okay a few months ago and that cancer took him quick. So
yeah, it wasn't that long ago that he was out there at the Legends race too, and he was all in on that. I know he was very excited about it. So yeah, number 7.
He was a hell of a
number
pilot
7.
too. I was taking flying lessons in small planes, and he was like incredible in that. And that's like a whole different world he taught himself. The dude was an animal. So yeah, much respect to him. Seriously, always had it.
I had a chance to go film a couple of his quad riding schools, and it was neat because when I started, I only went to the nationals into 04, 05, went to the WPSA in 06, maybe a couple of races in 07, filming for ATV Scene back then. And I had a chance to go down and film Joe Bird's quad riding school. And while I was no kind of ATV racer on his level by any stretch, I had been involved in martial arts very heavily since I was 18 and started teaching that in my early 20s. And I remember the first school I went to with Joe and watching him explain things to students, and his rapport and the way he explained things, and he could demonstrate things and he could go about it different ways. I mean, it was obvious, he was a great racer, but he was also a very good teacher because he knew how to connect with his students. He knew how to explain it in different ways that the riders would understand. Hey, watching Joe Bird teaching how to pass at his riding school, I remember he was telling the kids how to race into corners and brake late. And he says, if you get a half a bike on them, you got the pass. All you got to do is get a half a bike and you got them. And, because then you could just use them for traction and, use them as a berm. And he's right. You know, you got a half bike and you got him. So very impressive as a teacher, both on the track. And I remember him telling the kids at the beginning of his school how to set the bikes up. So I'm with Nick. Like, the guy understood how to set the bike up. He understood how to ride. He was a great teacher. And, you know, and hanging around him leading into the factory boom, I remember hearing some criticism from some people back then about, oh, Joe Bird, he really sticks it to his sponsors and really, you know, he really makes his sponsors pay him a lot of money. And it's like, well, you know, leading into that factory boom, Joe Bird leaning hard on his sponsors to pay him a lot of money led to a lot of other people in that era, from that 2005 to, you know, 2009 era of the factories. A lot of guys made a lot more money because Joe Bird had leaned on his sponsors and kind of paved a way for those guys to get paid a little bit. So yeah, a lot of respect for Joe Bird.
In a time when ATVs were actually outselling dirt bikes too. So yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, number 7.
Joe Bird had
number 7
probably arguably the best riding school, hands down, out of any rider, and the most success. Like, his Joe Bird riding school was not just at his house, but he traveled. He was telling me he went to Russia for this school that had like 90 something people, or 100 freaking people in it for a week. And anything he like, there were some things he spit out like, this guy's full of shit. Like, there's no way. But he always had a way to like back it up. There was like, the money he was saying he was making, I'm not going to speak on like things he disclosed to me, but it was like, he always, like, you couldn't go there and be like, this guy really made it from that. Like, you can't hide money to saying it. And he'd be laughing if you heard this right now. Like, him and I were pretty cool like that, but he kicked butt, man. Like, he was very successful with that school for years. I teach to this day, not on that level, but I still teach every week. I learned a lot off Joe, and we teach different, but I still learn on how he teaches. He's very thorough, and he's a smart instructor.
It's going to be tough going from this moment right now that tugs on your heart. We're going right into Rev Limiter. It's like jumping from 1st to 5th. So yeah, number 7 forever.
The Dirty Bird.
What do you think, Joe? Are we ready to move into Rev Limiter?
We'll see you guys in a few minutes. It's time for the Rev Limiter. Let's grill some fools. And now it's time for our favorite part of the show, the part that was so famous when we first did it, that it was the first segment to be sponsored. It's time for stupid people saying stupid things getting called out. And if you hear this sound, you're on the Rev Limiter. Jeff, the Rev Limiter is brought to you by RWI Wheels. You use them. You like them. Tell us about them.
I do. I used them last year and this year. They're beadlocked wheels for the Work Series. Of course, I'm an old guy. I'm slow, but hey, they've held together. They do have some pro guys like Logan Huff and others that have been using these wheels with great success too. Great thing about RWI Wheels right now is they have new carbon fiber rings. They had the aluminum rings before. Now they got carbon fiber. They got the mud plugs for these wheels too. Whether you race motocross, cross country, or just a dune or a trail rider, they have wheels that don't have beadlocks also. You guys should check these out. Great pricing. They also have some new contingency stuff going on for racers on East and West Coast that you want to check out. You can make a little money, and that includes amateur classes also, as well as pro. So yeah, check them out. And the website is rwimotorsports.com. You can see all the pricing, all the new products, the wheel sets. I think you can buy individual wheels. They also make the Rebel Optics goggles, which I also use. Good stuff. So we just talked to Nick about the Stark hybrid from Walsh. And the reason he's still here is because that's also part of Rev Limiter. We're going to talk about some of the comments from you guys that we've seen not only on Nick's video, but also on ATV On Demand and on Dirt Wheels too. And let's just start with one of the most popular comments every time we do anything electric. This one came from Caleb Barnes. Has got to be about the gayest thing I've ever seen.
Now, was this in regards to Nick's video?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Nick, you can fire in with some of your own comments that you've seen here too. But it's funny; these all come from people.
Foremost, if they watched and they commented, we won. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they went that far to watch and it bothered them so much, and the saying any exposure is good exposure. I don't care how it looked. If it was half bad, half good, it was all good.
Well, that's really a good attitude of you, because I mean that guy sounds like he's watched a lot of gay stuff, saying that it was the gayest
Yeah,
thing he's ever seen, and you're at the top of the pile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And no offense to the alphabet trout, by the way. We're quoting what this guy said. You know, what is he going to say about it when this thing passes him? Is what I want to know. Then what
That's
is
the part that nobody is ready for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like everyone I've heard my whole life, you know, quads are gay. Then you hear the electric are gay. Then you combine the two. Like that kind of hate, give it to me, because I'm the kind of guy. Well, I'll just put it in your face more, and it'll irritate you more because you watching it and you commenting, it's doing more for me, and I like that kind of stuff. So they chose the right guy.
I like the guys that say it's all about the sound and whatever. And it's like, well, you know, and I brought this up before. I mean, do you fire your gas pod up in your garage and sit in a lawn chair and just listen to it? Because for us, it's always been about the performance. And I think if you put any of these guys on this machine, they'd probably shut up and be wowed. Like, you know,
I'm pretty confident any one of those people that doubt it or talk smack on it, if you let them ride it through a parking lot or a track, nobody would come back and not be impressed. Like nobody would. You could hate it all you want until you really give that thing gas and that thing is taking off under you with no noise. It's like, it's nothing. I'm happy this is happening when I'm this young in my life where I can still ride something and try that. Like you know, it's crazy in itself. I can't believe it.
No bragging.
Yeah.
Next.
a lot of the other comments I had just go along the same theme. Only 20 minutes. Sorry, no way. But you pointed out, we're talking about a pro ATV MX rider, one of the, you know, top riders in the country, putting the smack down on this thing. We already covered that. This is one of the older motors, the new technology that's coming. It's going to be cool. But again, it's not for everybody. What do you say, Nick?
No, it's not for everybody, but that wave's coming, whether you like it or hate it. You know, I'll go back to what I was saying way earlier, where it doesn't have to wipe out gas, but let it be its own thing. Again, the word's completely optional. No one's forcing you to buy it. But when you ride one, you'll be impressed. And the other benefit too, like tracks like mine in residential areas ish. It's not really residential, but residential for New Jersey. The no noise is a major upside and could be the future to a lot more tracks. So love it or hate it, but don't be surprised when you see an approved all electric motocross facility within the next 10 years somewhere where it's only approved if you have electric, and that is opening doors that have never been opened.
You know, and I think just to add, because we want to get back to being mean, but one thing I think it's a good point is, aside from, you know, a silent track where it doesn't make noise and make the neighbors mad, for people who live in climates that are either cold or they have all four seasons, now you can take an old Kmart, you can take an old warehouse that doesn't have the ventilation to support, you know, 100 bikes spewing race gas or 20 at a time spewing race gas, and now all of a sudden you got no problem with that.
It's
build your track anywhere with a roof. Who's next?
Love it. I'm kind of afraid to
do
this one in front of Nick.
I
think you know what it is.
Do it.
Are you ready for this, Nick?
Yeah.
Brace yourself.
Sea Boys did it first.
Well, I never said they didn't do it. Those guys, I don't have a problem with them indirectly, but their fans, I think, are on their payroll.
Good answer.
Their fans are like the new modern day, whatever. Like, I don't have a problem with those guys. Yeah, they did it first. They ripped it out of a Stark, rigged it into a thing. When you really look at their video, I wouldn't have wanted to ride that thing like I wanted to ride the Walsh one. But, yeah, they did it first, but those boys weren't riding that thing. They were playing. So, yeah.
I should,
you know, I know
I should finish the quote. And it was from Chad Brailer. I don't know if you
Yeah,
recognize that.
every kid is
Huh?
theirs. Every
Yeah,
kid,
he said
well, they
the
built it for
finish.
it.
He said C-Boys did it first. LOL. Let's make Nick mad. LOL. So it
Hey,
was.
They commented, got all of them commenting. And after the
Yeah.
engagement.
Hey, I have a feeling some of the C-Boys wish everybody would shut up about this. And they do make some good content, although I haven't been over to their page. I've seen stuff.
I don't know them enough to have any beef with them, but their fans are like, they're like Taylor Swift fans. You know, they're like,
Yeah.
they're like their own freaking, like, just, wow. Just,
Yeah. That's good
just
stuff.
like, I don't know.
They're like
Yeah.
Swifties.
Hey,
Yeah.
no hate to you guys, C-Boys. Maybe we'll have C-Boys on the show sometime.
Right.
And,
Glad to see they're promoting
talk to 'em.
sport quads and they're not
Yeah,
afraid to
absolutely.
go
Don't hate towards
electrics.
them. They're fun. Their fans are a little weird.
Swifties, I love it. So I think we're going to move on to another machine that we've been talking about for a while at Dirt Wheels, and Joe and I have been talking about on the Quadcast, and it has to do with these patent drawings we've been seeing for the last year about the Yamaha Sport 4x4. And I did not say Sport Quad because everybody keeps saying it's not a Sport Quad. Well, we keep calling it a Sport 4x4. But man, if you ride one of these, I've ridden the Scramblerus out at Glamis and was shocked at how well this 950-pound machine with 14 inches of rear travel actually does in the dunes. And I know guys that race them in works. They don't race them out on the East Coast, the Scrambler S, because it's too wide, 55 inches. But man, for West Coast stuff, the guys I know that race works, they put a beating on some of the 450s that are riding on those tracks. Alan Witherell, who's a good buddy of mine, doing really great on that machine. But Yamaha, I'm pretty sure this thing is coming out soon. We found out in the latest patent drawings that it's actually got more rear travel than the Sportsman S. They're showing 15 inches of rear travel on this machine, and there may be other versions of this too. We don't know yet. There may be an East Coast cross country version, GNCC version of it, but this one looks like it's going to be over 50 inches wide. I'm really excited to see it. And this machine has gotten it's just the analytics on our website. Anytime we put a post up about this thing, it's, just a unicorn spike in traffic.
We've only seen people begging for a Japanese company to build a 1000 since Polaris released their 1000. So
I think it's cool.
Oh yeah.
So somebody did a post, and this was on their own website, Sean Stratton Racing, but he tagged Dirt Wheels in what he said. So we saw it. It came right to us and gave us a notification. He wrote, "Fake. Today's latest AI rendering of the real new 4x4 ATV that Yamaha is working on based on updated patent filings from Yamaha Motor Co. USA. This is not what it is going to look like. Dirt Wheels magazine getting people fired up again." And then he claimed, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say
about this.
Well, you just said this is the latest AI rendering, as opposed to the first AI rendering, which he did, right?
I don't know if he did or not, but he had shared stuff on AI photos based on the article that we had put up. And again, it's public information that's out there. Anybody can look this up on the patent site.
He's saying
and
that is fake.
Yeah, he said the picture was fake. And the funny thing about it is we did make an AI image of it, but in the article, it's all of the patent image drawings. But right on the photo that we created, it says AI rendering by Dirt Wheels. It's on the website. It went out all over social media about it like that. And he's claiming that we're just trying to get people excited over something that
it said, even on the thing he reshared, AI photo by Dirt Wheels.
Yeah. In this, I'm looking at it right here. We'll drop it right into the podcast so you guys can see it, because it says it's AI rendering by Dirt Wheels. Did we do it to get a little attention? Yeah, because we were excited when we saw it actually looks really good. Another clue that it's an AI rendering is AI made it with 8 lug wheels. So there was a giveaway there. So no duh. Yeah, it's AI. It's not out. Yeah. I'm excited for that. I think it's going to look even wider than this. I don't think it's completely like, and he goes on to say it's not going to look anything like this after he had put pictures up on his page basically of a 4x4 with YFZ plastic. It's not going to look like that. These were the first drawings we saw in patent that had the full tank cover, the seat, and the fenders. This is probably the fourth or fifth article we put up about this because we're very excited. I want to get one myself and race it in the 4x4 class in Works on Sunday, where I'll race my YFZ on Saturday.
So what's the point of this guy pointing out that it's fake and Dirt Wheel spreading more false information? Have you had previous history or beef with this guy?
We never figured it out. I mean, I went over to his playground and went back and forth with him trying to figure out, what are you talking about? We said it's an AI rendering, and he's trying to say that no, we were trying to deceive everybody and that disclaimer was not there to begin with. Maybe he saw something. He shared some image that didn't have the disclaimer on it, but didn't look anything like the stuff that we were sharing on social media. I don't have any hate for the guy. I'm just like, why is he so bent out of shape about this? And he also claimed that, as if he knows that Yamaha marketing is probably not happy with us sharing these images. When I was with Yamaha marketing the night before in Las Vegas at a little mixer at the SHOT Show, showing them this picture, and they're like, whoa, that's really cool. I hope it does look like that, and they knew what we were up to. And I've been talking to them also, and they said, every time you guys share this stuff, we love seeing the comments. They probably love the fact that we're probably stalling some competitor sales in sport 4x4s while people are waiting for this thing to come out. I know some guys that race these things are saying, if this Yamaha comes out and it looks like this, I'm switching brands. So no, that's untrue also, and I'll just go to this. Somebody else popped in, and most of the people were like, dude, the disclaimer about it being AI is right there in the actual photo that you shared saying it wasn't there. It got too funny. And there was a lot of people popped in and said, I don't get it because I can read it right there that it's AI and anybody can tell this is an AI image. Except one guy, Paul Shuck, he popped in and said, I've never even read all of this, but one thing I can tell you that I will never deal or even look at Dirt Wheels magazine. For a company to respond like this, right or wrong, wow. What? I mean, he tagged us. I mean, on his response, otherwise we wouldn't have seen it. But I think he was looking for a confrontation, the fact that he drew us into it. So are you saying that we should have just shut up and let him have his day? We're not going to do that,
Yeah.
We're going to go after it. Who do you think we are? The New York Times? We live this stuff. If you want to work at Dirt Wheels, number one, you got to be an enthusiast first.
If you're going to call somebody out and you're going to be offensive to the people with the microphone and the people with the voice, you want to call them out in public and try to humiliate them. I mean, don't be surprised if you're the one that gets humiliated.
I forgot the other thing that Sean Stratton Racing claimed was that Yamaha was out at the GNCC Ironman testing these things undercover.
Those were Grizzlies, by the way.
And I was riding one of them. Scott Newby was riding one, and so was
Evan Hartzell for us. Yeah,
Evan Hartzell for ATV On Demand. It was three of us that were on those machines.
So you were on the new one. Which one?
No, the new one was not out there. These were newer Grizzlies, but they were just set up by B&R. They were stock engines, stock shocks. They just had a little more armor to protect them against the rocks and roots and that rough course. But yeah, that was us. So again,
Yamaha was petitioning for a 4x4 single cylinder class in GNCC, which we got now. So
yep, we were talking about that earlier in this podcast, and yeah, that's exciting stuff. I mean, great to see it. This machine is not out yet, but as quickly as it's getting updates, we are assuming. I'm being optimistic. I think we're going to hear something very soon. And I just want to say to Sean Stratton, hey, can we have a truce? Because it has been fun. And we don't hate you. I hope we can get together and go ride sometime. If I'm ever out on the East Coast, maybe you can teach me something about
cross country
riding in the woods. I'm sure you're faster than I am because I think you're also a lot younger than I am.
Is he's an East Coast guy?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where he's from. I can't remember. But he's a cross country racer from back there. Again, no hate. Let's just laugh about it, have a beer next time, and get together and ride.
There you go. Anybody else? Anybody else to throw under the bus?
Man, I think that's enough. And we've held up Nick long enough. He's out on the East Coast. What time is it there? It's getting late. Aren't you headed to the Bahamas?
Yeah, actually.
What's up with that?
Well, I'm headed to the Bahamas.
No bragging.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to be pretty proud of it because I haven't gone on a vacation. I've done a lot. I've been very blessed to do a lot of traveling within racing. And a lot of out of country stuff I've done a lot. And like I've raced Dominican Republic twice. That was cool. It was ghetto though. Dominican Republic twice, Costa Rica twice, Canada, which is technically another country, Canada twice, Argentina once, and then France last year once. I have not taken an actual vacation. I remember going on trips with my family before 10 years old, but I got myself and girlfriend, I got it for us for Christmas. She didn't find out till Christmas, 6 days to Bahamas. So that's where I'm heading in 2 days. Go to a resort. Yeah, it's going to be weird. Like knowing I'm going away in 2 days, normally it's like the RV is packed, the gear, or is your physical where it needs to be, fitness, is your quad ready, and like it's just close. It's just close. It's gonna be like
anything you do forget, you can buy while you're there.
Yeah. Sun, it looks good weather there, pina coladas, and a lot of food. It should be
awesome.
It's the perfect trip. It's 5 nights. I can't go for 2 weeks somewhere. Like I gotta be 5 days is like my max.
Well,
good for you because it sounds like you deserve it.
Yeah. I haven't done anything like that ever, so it's cool. So,
well, Nick, we hope you have a very restful vacation. Put on a nice base tan. Spring's coming here in the States. Hope you and the lady have a great time. And I think that concludes the Rev Limiter for this episode. And it's time for the final lap where we're going to wind this show down.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for coming on with us. This has been enjoyable. And you actually taught some old guys a few tricks and things about, what it is to race at that top level. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you
having a great
me
vacation.
Sounds like we're going to be doing some more stuff throughout the year and hopefully some other stuff that we'll see where it leads, and I'm open to it. And I'm sure I'll be back on.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for coming on the show and looking forward to seeing you in Dirt Wheels. I've loved reading that magazine since I was a kid, and I'm sure I'll continue to love it with you as part of the team. Can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Cool.
Guys, see you on the other side. All right. Looks like we're heading around the last corner, about to take the white flag. It's time for the final lap. Jeff, every time we do this, I feel like at the end we're saying, I think this was our best show.
Yeah,
this was our best show.
We might be patting ourselves on the back, but I think you're right. We learn a little bit with each one of these episodes, and looking forward to getting into the next one, which I think is going to be super cool.
It's always a goal to get better. But besides this, we have those day jobs where you work for Dirt Wheels, I work for ATV On Demand. This is a chance for people to learn what's coming up. What do you got coming up in Dirt Wheels?
Yeah, man, we're really busy right now. Things are heating up. Right now, of course, we got our 2026 model buyer's guide out. You can pick that up on newsstands. Subscribers, you should already have it.
I got a question. Any new models in there that we can see?
I think we've been talking about them. So yeah, of course that new KO is in there. I think we even got the Kahana in there.
Nice.
New machines from Denago, the new Can-Ams, with the Smart Shock suspension, that new 110R. By the way, I got one of those on the way to my place now, and I think I'm going to race it in Works this year in the 4x4 class. So looking forward to that.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
That's an awesome unit. I mean, they've made it more powerful and more rideable. They've given it better suspension. What a proving ground to go out there and race that Smart Shock model.
Yeah, I'm going to have to rush through testing it out here in the desert. Standard conditions that the general consumer would ride, but I can't wait to get it out there on the track. So, and who knows, hopefully we're going to hear something about a new Renegade here in the near future. We thought it was going to happen this year, but I guess it's wait and see. I haven't heard anything lately, so got nothing to report on that. What else I got going on? We got an issue coming out where we're going to talk about that new 750 and under single cylinder 4x4 class that GNCC has right now. Of course, you and I were out there for that first race. We'd already talked about that. I'm going to talk about my experience racing it at the GNCC Ironman.
It's funny because you and I talked about that story coming out, and I was thinking like, well, we've been there, we raced it, we got the class, and then it's like, how are you gonna make it relevant? And I'll tell you, I don't want to let it out of the bag, but you got a cool spin on it coming, and I want to read that story. I was there for the whole thing, but I want to see what you have to say about the class and your thoughts on it, because you've got some good insight coming.
Yeah, got some good insight. I think this class is going to explode. Again, for all you guys, you probably got this machine sitting in your garage right now. Use it to clean up horse manure or work around the property. Hey, you can go race that thing in this class.
Throw a kill switch on it and get a full face helmet and go.
Yeah, maybe throw a little skid plate underneath there or whatever, and go for it. Very exciting and a very cool way for people even new to racing to get involved and get out there with a whole bunch of guys that are there for the same reason you are, to have fun. For you guys that say that Dirt Wheels doesn't ever, I hear this all the time, is that Dirt Wheels hasn't published anything about ATVs or a side-by-side magazine. Now, that is not true. And I think in the last 3 years, we've even had a three-wheeler on the cover at some point. And we have a cover coming up in a story, I believe it's coming out next month. There is half of the cover is taken up by one of our readers' rides. Actually, it is a titanium built drag banshee, full feature on this machine with some great action shots from one of our readers. Can't wait to see that. When's the last time you saw a full blown drag banshee on the cover of Dirt Wheels? We made it happen. We're bringing these things back next
old
month.
Old and new, right? Old and new.
Oh yeah. Very, very cool. God, I think the horsepower of this machine was up there around. Well, you're gonna have to pick it up and read the story. Can't miss it on newsstands. Beautiful. Full stretch across the bottom of the magazine. Next month, I'm actually headed out of the country to test a couple of ATVs. This is some exciting stuff that I cannot talk about. I can't tell you where I'm headed, but you will hear about that probably in the next episode, and look for that story at dirtwheelsmag.com as well as in the print magazine. And that's all I'm going to say, so I can stay out of trouble. Anyway, what do you got going on, Joe? I know you've been super busy too.
Yeah, well, over the year, last half of 2025, 2026, we have now officially reviewed all the 700 single-cylinder 4x4s, 700 class, including the Rubicon 700, King Quad 750, Grizzly 700, and the Can-Am Outlander 700 XT, all leading up to our shootout. The numbers are done. It is a nail-bitingly close shootout. I can tell you, honestly, at this point, I don't know the winner. I know who's winning in rider ratings. I know who's winning in utility ratings, but it's going to come down to the speed tests, I believe, are going to be the deciding factor, the special tests in this, like who won that utility part, best initial value, and then the speed test. It's going to come down to that. It's very close, which says this is a very competitive class. I think there's the right bike for a lot of people. Obviously, some people look at this class as these are trail machines, and they don't really look at them as work vehicles. They're just trail machines that offer good mud protection. Some people look at them as work vehicles primarily. They may not even trail ride them, or they may trail ride them as well. And there's a bike that's right for that guy. Now, obviously, with the GNCC that we're talking about and the new Sport 4x4 class, these are race bikes now. I didn't really think of that when we started this process of testing almost a year ago, but these are race bikes now. So if you're looking for which machine might be the most competitive for you to take and start building as a GNCC race bike, we're going to have some real insight in how they perform. And I have a feeling a lot of those characteristics that you see in them out of the box will carry over to a more modified version for the track. So just another reason you might want to check that shootout out, and it should be done and ready to watch before the month of February is up. Thought we were going to get it done in January, but we got a little postponed. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sworn to secrecy, but Joe has shared some of the info from me, and there might be a few surprises in there to check out. So can't wait to see the finished video. Awesome.
Yes, sir. I think that's it for the month, or at least for this episode. But we're going to hope to roll into recording another episode very soon, so we don't leave so much gap between this episode and the next episode. We know we haven't seen you guys in a while, and we're going to try to tighten things up because there's a lot of exciting things happening in the world of ride-on ATVs, and we'll have more news and information for you in the next episode, Jeff.
Yeah, I think 2026 is going to be a big year, so can't wait to get started. yeah, like you said, we're going to get on a regular schedule here this year, and looking forward to digging in. So
yes, and I'll say this: if you've made it this far and you're not subscribed to Dirt Wheels Facebook page where you're hearing this, or UTV On Demand, or ATV, went back to the cage, ATV On Demand's YouTube channel, then you might want to subscribe. Plus, you can listen to us on all the podcast episodes, and I will let one cat out of the bag that might give you a reason to follow us and subscribe in the next episode. Jeff and I are going to rate the OEMs in how they're performing for the Ride On ATV segment from bottom to top. So we're going to be brutally honest about who's making moves and doing exciting things, and who we'd like to see step it up for the 2027 model year. So that's coming.
yeah, exciting stuff. We might even get some hate mail and some good Rev Limiter content out of that. So I'm looking forward to it.
I hope so. We'll see you guys in the next episode.